Hi, I'm Dan, a DevRel engineer here at Squared Up. To kick off, I'll be running through just a couple slides and then launching into a demo on how live diagrams can be set up and used in your Squared Up tenant. So what are the key benefits of live diagrams and what even are they? So on the slide here, you can sort of see a screenshot of a live diagram example, where in this case, we're using it to give context and add additional monitoring and statuses to an existing SVG infrastructure diagram. You don't have to use this just for infrastructure. It could be something like a floor plan or just anything to give context and additional monitoring and statuses to any area of your organization. The real benefits of this are you can see real-time statuses on how they reflect your organization. So rather than being locked down into just one or two dashboards, you can really give full context of your full organization areas and how they relate to each other. And of course, you can see the real-time status of all of these areas. It transforms even any existing SVG diagram. So it's quite common to have existing network topologies or just general architecture diagrams just laying around that are SVGs. You can give more power to these diagrams by assigning statuses and links and that kind of thing. And it gives you just at a glance a deeper understanding as to what's going on in your organization. So rather than before with a SVG static diagram or just single dashboards, they might not give you the full context of actually what's happening. In this case, with live diagrams, as you can see, you can check everything's healthy, or if something's unhealthy, you can dig deeper into them just based off these diagrams. And also, of course, you can drill down deeper into anything you see in these live diagrams. So obviously in this screenshot here, you're seeing everything is good, apart from one at the bottom there is showing a warning status. As these are fully sort of dynamic and interactable, you could click on that and it will take you to the business element or diagram or dashboard where that in fact is having an issue, and then you can do a deeper dive and investigate a bit further. So there are quite a few use cases when it comes to live diagrams. I showed on the previous slide an infrastructure map showing AWS and Azure as like a hybrid setup, but that's not where the limits of live diagrams are. Of course, you can use it for other things such as your org chart, your office floor plans, any other setup of infrastructure or even network topology, anything that could utilize a diagram of elements really that you could then deeper dive into and monitor a bit further. All that it really requires is an SVG diagram with images and then a link to the diagram or node that you're monitoring in Squared Up. It's really easy to set up, and I'll showcase a short demo of this in a second. Okay, so here I am in Squared Up. What I'm looking at now is a Squared Up dashboard of a particular Kubernetes node hosted in AWS. This example in the Telescope Shop workspace essentially is a e-commerce demo application running on, like I said, EKS in AWS. In this case, I'm looking at a dashboard for a specific node, which is great for understanding what's going on with this particular node. So things like CPU, network in, network out, and just generally the instance health. I can do the same for another node that is running this Telescope Shop, as well as things like end user experience. I've also got lots of dashboards for the individual services. This is great for understanding what's going on with those individual places or services, I should say. But what if I wanted to get a deeper understanding to how things are running generally, how they relate to each other, and what's going on at almost like a bird's eye glance? If I jump to this Telescope Shop dashboard at the top here, you can see we get a nice overview dashboard, including key metrics on the left. But on the right, we have a live diagram that was generated by a mermaid diagram, essentially an automatically generated text-based diagram solution that we can then import and assign links to with Squared Up. Here on this diagram, you can see we have every element of this Telescope Shop mapped and diagrammed, and a lot of these also have dynamic links into each of those services diagrams that I mentioned before. We can also see the status of these particular nodes and understand that everything is running smoothly. If something wasn't running smoothly here, we could have an automatic monitor setup which would dynamically adjust the status on this diagram that I can then click into and investigate. So how can I set up something like a live diagram in my dashboards? If I were to click into this other tab I've got, I've made a dashboard called Org Overview. I've generated a quick logo for Telescope Inc., which is, in this demo, my company, essentially. I've assumed that I've got two different infrastructure shops that I want to be looking at the status of. So it's going to be quite a simple example, but it will show how we can generate one of these live diagrams. So the best way to do this from scratch, if you aren't using something like Mermaid, like we showed with the other diagram, which automatically generates something like this, you can just jump into any diagramming tool. In this case, I'm using sort of diagrams.net or Draw.io. So I've got a really, really simple example here, showing my infra team and what they're responsible for. So we've got the telescope shop that I showed before, and I've also got the swag store. Another example. I'm assuming I've got sort of two e-commerce shops here that we're responsible for running. Right clicking on this, I can click edit link. I've already pasted the link to the dashboard. This can be found if I jump back. Any dashboard URL here, just from the URL bar, can be pasted in, and it will automatically take the status from that. So now that I've got my very simple diagram, I can export this. So let's export it as an SVG. It's probably best to put transparent background if the option's available in your tool. And I've left links as automatic as I've already included them. I'll click export. I can save it to my device, which in this case I will. Once I've got this as a file, I can then go back to Squared Up, edit the dashboard, add a new tile. I'll click image, then I can upload the image or the exported diagram that I've made. So here you can see my very simple diagram has been put in, and we've recognized that there is a embedded link in the SVG. So you can see if I untick this, we've just got my normal diagram, but if we showed the health state, it will have my embedded link health state that I added to my diagram. I have a few options, so I can add like an icon or a glow. For now, I'll do these two. Hit save. And now my live diagram, albeit very simple, is now on the dashboard, and I can see the relationship between my infra team and the two areas they manage, the telescope shop and the swag store. So I can also show that this is interactive. So I can click on this and it will jump to my telescope shop that I saw before. And from here, I can do some deeper dives into how this telescope shop operates and what the status of it is. If I go back, my second area, my swag store, I can click on it and it will take me to my Lego swag store workspace where I have yet another diagram, but this time a lot more detailed, and also the dependency health. From here, I can click on this and dive into these particular elements as well. So if I click on the inventory service, it will take me to the inventory service workspace where I can again do a bit more deeper dives into something like the overview dashboard and see exactly what's going wrong. Another example of a workspace like this could be our CTO example. So this live diagramming feature allows you to build something like this, where we can build a full dashboard showing our key infrastructure on the left here. You might recognize that as the diagram I showed on my slide earlier, along with other key metrics that something like a manager or someone higher up might be interested in. So our cloud costs, our service availability, our on-demand time, that kind of thing. So this really allows you to build dashboards that really showcase exactly what's going on in your organization at a deep level, whilst maintaining your business context and being able to deeper dive into these dashboards once you've got them built. Okay, so let's say we want to create a bit more of like an org chart or a team overview rather than being infrastructure based. So right now I'm on the CTO overview dashboard, as I mentioned before, but let's say we wanted to relate team responsibility rather than the actual infrastructure itself. So I've opened up a very, 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 very basic org chart where our CTO and a systems admin is on there. So if I wanted to relate what the CTO is responsible for to our CTO org chart, I can copy the dashboard link and edit the link on it like before. And then let's go to our, well, let's just go back to our telescope shop or telescope Inc. and copy this dashboard we made earlier. I can edit the link on this node. And then we have a org chart with embedded nodes to our other dashboards. I'll export this as an SVG as before. Okay, now I can make a new dashboard. Let's call it org chart. And we'll make a larger tile and we'll import what we just made. As you can see, we've now got our org chart and we've got the embedded statuses. If I wanted to just have an org chart without any statuses, I can untick this, but we'll leave this ticked. And we can change how it looks. So we can make the glow and we can also put a status icon. I'll hit save. Now our org chart is here. So like I said before, rather than just being for infrastructure, we can have more of an org chart. It's another use case. Again, there's kind of limitless use cases for this. You can have it as a floor plan or parking, but it doesn't just relate to things like infrastructure and the technical side of things. It can also relate to things like how your organization is structured. It could be finance data. It really can be anything. Now that when I click on this, it can take me to my CTO overview dashboard. Or if I go back, I can click on my systems admin and see what he or she is responsible for. And it can take me to the org overview. We'll say the systems admin is on the infra team that I just made. And from here, I can deeper dive into what they're responsible for. We can see they're both red in this case, so we could deeper dive into the telescope shop and see what's going on there. So it really gives us the ability to drill down dynamically. Again, not just for technical data. It's great for that, but it can be just for how your org is positioned, and it gives relevance and understanding as to what different people, different teams are responsible for in this context. You'll notice that the systems admin does not have a status. It's kind of questioned, and this is because it's being taken from the source dashboard. So if I wanted to do this, I could put a status marker or a status metric on here. So we could do that now. So we could go to our telescope shop. We could see the monitoring tile here. I can copy this if I wanted to. So I can copy it to the executive team. We put it in the org chart, or we can literally just put it in the telescope. We could put this in the telescope Inc. workspace, which is where our other org chart was, just to give us a full status in terms of what's going on in that org chart. We'll put it in the org overview dashboard. And there you go, we've got a general error status of telescope shop. And that has made our org overview dashboard red because of the monitor and also the workspace. So now when I do go back to that executive team and we click on the org chart, we can see it's now red because it's taken the status from the source dynamically. And again, like before, I can click into these and see what's going on and then do a deeper dive as well. Okay, so I've shown how to quickly create some org charts or live diagrams for anything you may have, whether it be infrastructure or your team. So really would encourage you to give it a go. As I've shown, it's really easy and you can get these whipped up in a few seconds, or you can just use one of your existing diagrams or SVG files that are lying around already in your documentation in your teams or organizations. And just to reiterate, it makes it really powerful be able to sort of jump into how your org chart is structured. You can jump into different areas of your business. So let's say the telescope shop, and get a really clear map as to what's going on in your organization and teams and where things might go. There we go, and happy dashboarding.